What's up, guys? This video is the day of. We're filming this the day that this is coming out.
As in, this is Wednesday morning.
It's been kind of an interesting week with the build. This is where things get really technical and interesting.
Right.
Also, I'm really sorry about that bird right now. I'm just gonna have to deal with these noises.
Is it going crazy?
Something
out there?
is going down in this bird's life.
Yeah, no kidding. This bird just found out his wife cheated on him or something, and it's just, he is screaming at her right now.
We're trying to build the cupboards and the cabinets and the drawers.
Cupboards, huh?
Cupboards. And all
Mostly
of this,
drawer week.
everything has been like really precise. We're just measuring to 1/8 of an inch and
Right.
that kind of thing. So there's really not much to film this week, honestly. And plus, do you want to tell them a story?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna get roasted for this, but I deserve a little roasting, so I will share. I got concussed yesterday. I think is how you say that, a fun word.
Mm-hmm.
I got concussion. I gave myself the stupidest concussion, like the history of the world yesterday. So here, we should just show them real quick. That fan right there was cut.
The ceiling wood was like not precise enough.
The ceiling wood was cut to where it overlapped with where the fan was supposed to go in, right? So I saw that immediately, and I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna have to saw that eventually, but I'm not really gonna worry about it. So we buy this jigsaw. I'm like, okay, now I can cut this out, and it was yesterday, right? So if you guys have ever used a jigsaw, you know the saw blade goes in and out, and it goes maybe not that much, but it goes like, I don't know, maybe a couple of inches. It's like right, so it's like going in and out.
And you're supposed to brace it on something.
Right, obviously.
Like, yeah.
But I'm trying to saw straight up. So I'm sawing straight up, and the thing keeps jumping out, sort of like, you know, like straight down the roof and make holes and everything. So I was like, man, this is so frustrating. So I put the saw blade way in, and I was trying to brace it, and it sounds like the dumbest thing in planet Earth when I say it. But
I think I probably would have done the same.
Yeah, but I was trying to brace it with my head as I went, and it was just like, and I didn't, because it's like a, you know, it's not a very hard hit. It's probably like getting hit like that.
Ow!
Sorry. So I was probably like getting hit like that by like 400 times. So it wasn't hurting, and then I stood up, and I was like, man, like I can't see straight. Like, I'm seeing double. I can't, like I can't focus. I can't think straight. I can't walk straight. I was like, man, I feel like I have to throw up. I gotta go sit down.
Yeah. So
I went and sat down, and then I was like, but I still have that roof to finish. And I hadn't really put together that it was the saw blade or the saw hitting me in the head so many times that it had given me a concussion. So I came back in here and did the exact same thing to myself, just about, with the next cut. And then, and I've had concussions before from sports, but like, usually when you expect a hit, and it kind of throws you off. But this one, I just kept hitting myself over and over and over because it wasn't hurting. So gosh, like a freaking idiot, I hit myself in the head 400 times, and then I went and threw up all over the place and had to go lay down. Couldn't see straight for the rest of the day, and still, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm still a little bit loopy today.
yeah, not
Yeah,
quite.
I tried to come out and work after the concussion yesterday, and I literally, I stared at this piece of wood, and I could not figure out why I cut that piece of wood. I stared at it for multiple minutes.
And then I banned him from the saw, which makes sense, right? You don't use a saw. And he goes over to the miter saw, and he's about to use it, and I'm like, no, not okay. And he's like, well, I'm not going to use the jigsaw.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out. I thought you were banning me from the saw so I wouldn't hit myself in the head. Oop. But now I see that you were banning me from the saw so that I wouldn't cut my fingers off, because I was so loopy. So this week is a little bit more boring, like Aubrey was saying. We're going to be probably doing interesting stuff today. We are answering your questions.
So yesterday...
And they're questions about the van conversions specifically.
Yesterday, I put on Instagram stories that we wanted some topics for a video, and we were thinking maybe we just pick one and make a whole video about it. We got so many good questions that didn't really deserve a whole video, so we just decided we're gonna do a Q&A.
These videos are so fun too. We haven't done just sitting down chatting away videos often enough.
We got one from Van as a Real Threat.
Wow. What does that mean? Can we take a pause and talk about that name?
Yeah.
Does he mean like, is it like the van community is threatening our society as we know it?
I don't know.
That's so ominous, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, okay. But Van as a Real Threat says, About to start building my van's subfloor. You've covered it before, but any suggestions or advice from your builds? Also,
Sure.
your videos are super helpful. Thanks for posting them.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks,
Van
dude.
is a real threat. I do have some advice.
Yeah.
On our first build, we did not insulate the floor. Huge rookie mistake, dude. Huge mistake. A lot of vandalizers do not insulate their floors, and they all regret it.
Yeah.
So what I would recommend, or what we did this time, we had
And
this.
I like our floor this time.
I like our
So,
floor a lot
like
this
it's solid,
time. Yeah. I mean, when I say this, you are sacrificing a little bit of space, but it is totally worth it in my opinion. We went with just like polystyrene foam paneling, and we framed out the floor to be super solid. So we basically framed around all of the grooves basically, and then we put the foam board, we cut it to fit the bottom. So it was almost like a puzzle on the bottom, right?
Yeah.
So we got mostly insulated foam board with a solid frame, and then we got actual subflooring paneling, like,
It's tongue and groove plywood.
and we coated that with a waterproof oil basically. I mean, I recommend you insulate your floor. I recommend that you make sure it's waterproof and that you've got something really solid. You just want to make sure you have a solid base.
And I really like that we did tongue and groove plywood because it means that it essentially acts like one solid piece.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be all groovy and
Completely agree with that.
yeah. Next question. From Quanatron. Hi, where do you guys get your inspiration for the design of your van build? I know I personally always browse on Pinterest for apartment decor ideas. Do you ever do something similar? Thank you,
Cool.
and I love you guys.
I like how you're reading all the little like
I know,
outside
thanks.
tags.
Love you too.
Well, our first design, we got inspiration from Sprinter Van Diaries.
I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was Sprinter Van Diaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
similar to
this
build.
design, we got inspiration from mostly just our build. I mean,
Our time spent in a
our
van.
time spent in the van. Right.
And, yeah, knowing what we wanted. I personally look on Instagram constantly.
Yeah.
There's so much more van life content on Instagram than on YouTube.
Right.
And so I love looking at, you know, kind of how people have organized their space, what colors they're using to bring certain things out. So this design, I feel like, really came to us after just thinking about it for months and months and being in the space and looking at everything and looking at what other people had done and that kind of
Right.
thing. And so
I like how you put that, by the way. It came to us like, it was just like, we woke up in the middle of the night like,
it came to me. I was sitting there and I was just like looking at, I remember the exact place. It was when we were in Mexico and we were at that waterfall that was like frozen with the minerals. What was that called again?
Agua.
Yeah, something like that. Something agua.
Preve.
No, that's eggs.
No, it's something close to-
Agua hervir.
Egg water.
We were there in the parking lot and you were like taking a pee or something like that. I don't know where you
I'm
were.
typically taking a pee. That's-
And I was just like looking at everything. And I was like, we had been talking about this a lot with Eamon and Beck. I was like, guys, what do you think about this? And like Eamon got in here and we were like brainstorming and everything. And then, and so we were like, okay, how are we going to sell this to Christian?
Oh my God.
He came around. This is a question from Mitch Bela? McBela? I don't know, sorry. I'm getting ready to start my build out and everything has been so helpful. I was curious how you designed the build. This might sound ridiculous, but how did you think through the framing of the supports in the van as well?
Not ridiculous.
Oh, also, I'm sure this is somewhere on your page, but I can't find it. Do you guys have a long wheelbase sprinter? Yes, we do.
We do. That's a great question.
Yeah,
and an important
the framing.
one. I think it is one of the more important questions because we thought about where we were going to frame, but we had to go back and fix a couple of things because we didn't think hard enough. Well, not hard enough, but we didn't really think through every single scenario.
Right.
So basically the way that the Sprinter is made, and this is, if you just see a Sprinter, it's very obvious. There's these, we have the one window on the side, but that window section is kind of like, there's 1, 2, 3 of them along this back wall, right? So there's a section for a big window here.
So essentially you could easily install with like 3 windows on the side if you wanted
Right,
to.
exactly.
There's kind of
And then on the top, it's like much more intuitive framing because it's like, there's basically ribs, same with the bottom, right? So bottom and top, you'll know where to frame, right?
Yeah.
It'll be very easy. The window sections, though, is where it's trickier.
I would say, like, before you start anything, measure everything, make sure you know the heights and the widths of all of it.
Right.
Because if you can brace, I mean, this is a moving vehicle, right? So it's not like you can just have your kitchen cabinet and, you know, nail it onto your wall and call it good. You have to have it braced into the floor and the wall. And so if you know, like, this is how high it's gonna go, let's make sure we have a stud here, that kind of thing, that would be super helpful. Insulation! This is from JDM7_.
Really? A name with a punch, I might say.
Insulation. In Mexico, you guys were hot. Yes, we were.
No doubt.
Did that influence your insulation method in this build? Do you think the new insulation would keep you warm in snowy temps and cool in summer temps? It's all so confusing to us and seems like a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Great.
Good question. I think the majority of our insulation is built for cold weather.
Yeah.
And then the Reflectix is kind of for warm weather.
I agree. And the Reflectix, so yeah, it's kind of interesting because obviously insulation, from what I understand, and we're not the most knowledgeable about this, right? So take our opinion with a grain of salt. We just did this. But I would say that, like, insulation does help with your cold and your hot temperatures, but without, I mean, think of it like a house with good insulation without AC or a heating unit.
Yeah.
Like, it's still what it is, right?
It's still cooler, but it's not going to
Exactly.
change the game.
Exactly.
Right.
And so for winter, we are going to have a heater. So that will help, and the insulation is going to make sure that that heater is more efficient.
Right.
Is basically how it's going to work. For the summer, I think the Reflectix makes a huge difference.
Huge difference. So
Huge.
If you don't know, Reflectix needs an air gap to be effective. So what we did is we put it in our framing and we put the Reflectix over the framing. So we've got like the foam board insulation and then like frame and then Reflectix over that, so there's an air gap. And as soon as we put that Reflectix in, the temperature in here dropped by 5 or 10 degrees.
Yeah. So I would say, like, the insulation before the Reflectix didn't make a huge difference with hot temperatures, but after the Reflectix, it really did.
It did.
So if you're going to be in hot temperatures, I'd recommend that. But still, in the summer, we're going to have our doors open. We're not going to be, I don't know, you're still going to have to have a fan.
We're not going to choose to be in August in Texas again like we once did.
Yeah, exactly.
We are going to be in Texas in June, though.
I know it's going to be interesting.
Unfortunately.
JZ Hay says, purchasing an actual vehicle! Exclamation point, exclamation point.
Right.
What did you guys decide for price point, kilometers, etc.?
Wow, he got us with that kilometers thing, huh? Good one, Jay-Z. Is this the actual Jay-Z? Is
this
he,
the real
what do you call
Jay-Z?
it? Verified.
Verified.
Is he verified?
I wish.
All right, actual verified Jay-Z. Purchasing the vehicle, my biggest advice is to do it with your partner and not do it when your partner is mad at you for going to Houston in the middle of a work day. Because then you'll probably purchase the wrong vehicle because you don't have your partner's advice. Honestly, my advice is we bought ours for only $5,500, and if you're gonna buy a vehicle for less than 10 grand like this, or less than probably 8, be nervous that you might have to do something big to it. So yeah, that would be my big advice. I think between 10 and like 13 or 14 is a reasonable price point
for a Sprinter. So that's the interesting thing that you know, there's plenty of other cargo vans.
Right.
There's Ford Transits, there's Dodge ProMasters, and we have a bunch of friends who are in those and love them and have great experiences. The nice thing with Sprinters is, well, I think the biggest pro and con, the biggest pro is that it's really fuel efficient and it gets them and goes, and like you don't really have to worry about it on hills. This vehicle drives great in the snow and in all weather and all of that. I
think it's the official, like they say that on the commercials. One of the main perks is that it gets up and goes.
Gets up and goes. I would say the biggest con though is that it's really expensive to fix.
No doubt.
Let me just clarify though before we get a lot of comments. For those of you guys who haven't been following us for a long time, we had to replace our engine like more than a year ago. It was not our engine in Mexico that broke down. That was Damon and Beck's engine.
It was over a year ago.
Yeah. So we actually, we had to replace our engine before we could even start this van. Like it wasn't starting when we bought it.
Right. So buy a van that runs. I would say buy a van under 200,000 miles if you can, or like maybe, I don't know, 300,000 kilometers. Maybe like 250,000 kilometers or less.
Yeah.
And then anywhere from 10 to 13,000 USD is pretty, or 8 to 13,000 USD is pretty fair.
Yeah, I would say so. If you're looking for a sprinter. But do your research on all of the different cargo vans and see what's out there.
Yeah.
Okay, last question. Happy little cactus girl. That makes me happy.
You like that?
That makes me a happy little cactus girl. Kitchen storage in the much smaller area, and where are your batteries going? Interesting.
I feel like we should just pick up the camera and show them.
Yeah, let's do that. So the interesting thing is our kitchen is a little bit shorter than it was before, but I think we're doing a much better job about making the storage more efficient. So I don't actually feel like we're losing anything, but we'll obviously see when we like move stuff in. Kind of be the thing that lets us know if we're losing anything. But yeah, so we basically, this whole area is going to be for the sink and the water and everything. This is for the fridge under here, and then we're going to have storage here. And then
that's 4 drawers right there. So
yeah.
2 here, 2 here.
Then, and this is what we're going to be working on today, we're going to have storage, kitchen storage here. So basically,
underneath there.
And underneath here. So I don't actually feel like we're losing any kitchen storage, to be honest. So yeah, so I would just say if you do want a smaller kitchen than we had before, totally possible. You just need to make sure you're like more efficient with the storage. Right. What was the other part of the question?
Battery. The battery is going right there.
Yeah. The battery.
See that insane massive cords?
Yeah.
How do you feel about the van so far? Are you excited?
I'm so excited. Also,
right, can I see that excited dance again?
Should I sign off the video?
Yeah, of course.
Cool. So guys, thanks for coming along with us for a little bit of a different video. We'll be back with regular programming, showing you how we're building. Regular programming. And what we're doing with the build on Saturday, so stay tuned with that.
Is that about all you have to say though?
That's about all I have to say. I'll see you guys in the next video.